Barakatah Yahweh, Malak Hawalam. Is blessed are you, Yah, King everlasting, King of this universe, King of all kings, the one and true only Elohim that created the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that in them is. We come to you now, Abba Yah, on your set apart Shabbat day, giving you all praise, honor, and esteem. Hallelujah, hallelujah. And just thanking you, Todah Reba Abba, for blessing us with this life, for blessing us, Abba Yah, with the shepherds you put over us, Abba Yah, that are leading us back to who we are, Abba Yah, and whose we are, inspiring us, Abba Yah, with your Quadash word, your holy set-apart word, to embrace this glorious and unique heritage, Abba Yah, that you gave us. So as we go into our cultural and language study, Abba Yah, we just ask that you bless Moreh Samak with your Ruach HaKodesh that inspires him and leads him in the truth and understanding, Abba Yah, that he can feed us with the word, Abba Yah, strengthen us, give us courage, Abba Yah. And we thank you, Abba Yah, for blessing and keeping us through the whole week, bringing us into this day of rest and reverence. Blessed are you, Yahweh. Blessed is your name, Yahweh, and blessed is he that comes in your name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Amen, well, amen. All right, Mr. Bakar, we get started today with our cultural portion. And the reason why we call this portion the cultural portion, because we're trying to return to the past of old and trying to think from the thought process of the ancient forefathers as it was written in the scriptures, and how do they culturally do things, what were they doing, also of the customs. We want to cover the customs. The language is a part of it, even though this is not going to be considered our actual Hebrew study, but the language is a portion of our culture. So we would do a more detailed Hebrew class as well, but we'd be touching Hebrew in this portion. So we're doing it because we're trying to return back to the culture in which we come from and studying from the mindset of those of old, of the ancient forefathers. So one of the things that we've already covered was that the Torah or the law was definitely a part of the culture. The identity of Israel, the covenants and all are written therein in the Torah. So we've covered the Shabbat as being a part of the culture. Like that's a very important part, because on the day of the Shabbat is when you learn a lot of the word of the Most High. In times past, in ancient times, everyone did not have a computer where they can look up stuff online. Everyone did not have a copy of the Torah in their home. So in order for them to go and receive the word of Elohim, they would come to the Mishkan or the tent of meeting, or they would come to the tabernacle where they could come and hear the Torah being read by the priest, the Kohanim. So, so culturally, to receive the Torah was something that was read. The Torah was something. Y'all hear that alert when it goes off, or is it only I that can hear it? Can y'all hear it as well?
We hear it, Moreh.
And I can hear it.
Let me turn that off. Give me one moment. And so, co-hosts, if y'all could just please monitor the room whenever anyone comes in, because I may not see him. Let me turn that sound off now. Bear with me one moment. All right. Okay. So again, doing our culture study, that's what we try to do. We try to go back to the way it was culturally done for the ancient Hebrews, because that mindset, which is an Eastern culture mindset, or I would much rather say a Yah mindset for his people, is much different than the Western culture that we are accustomed to today, and a mindset that's not even a Yah mindset. So we try to return to those ways. So as I was covering the Torah, which is the laws, that was definitely a part of the culture. They're written within the Torah is the covenants of the Most High towards his people. So it's very important for us to know these things. Therefore, when we get to the New Testament, and we start reading, we can never be cast to and fro with everyone in the doctrine thinking that these laws are not important, because we will understand how much is a part of the culture and heritage of Israel. The language is going to be a key part, because the language has a more concrete and a more informative understanding when you look at it from a Hebraic perspective versus the modern English abstract thought process with maybe, sorta, kinda. In Hebrew, it's not dealing with that. It's a very direct language. It's a very concrete language. So the thought process of the Most High speaking to Israel in times past was very direct. He did not leave them room to say, well, I might do it, I might not do it. It's either a do or don't. So that's why we go through these cultural readings. So again, the laws, as I was stating, the laws were taught in a synagogue on the Sabbath day, and it was a custom for the Messiah himself. It also says that during his time, it was custom for him to go in the synagogue on the Sabbath day, therefore to read. So the only thing that was written during the time of Messiah was the Torah and the Tanakh, which is commonly called the Old Testament. And it was customary for him, as him coming up as a child, and even him as a man, it was custom for him to go into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, therefore to read. And as I already covered, everyone did not have a Bible. Everyone did not have the copy of Torah scrolls. Everyone did not have some electronic device where they can look these things up. So it was customary for our people to go to the synagogue or to the temple on the Sabbath day to receive of the word of the Most High by trained men that would actually teach from the Torah of the Most High to the people. All right. So today we'll be coming from the book of Deuteronomy, commonly called Devarim. A little bit of history on the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy in the Greek is Deuteronomos, is what it actually is, and they call it the second law. However, Deuteronomy is not the second law. It is Moses for the last time before the children of Israel is going to enter into the promised land, the land that flows with milk and honey, that the younger generation that is now about to go into the land, Moses now recalled or recited the laws to them, letting them know the conditions that they would have to adhere to be blessed of the Creator, to give them long life in the land, or what can cause them to be expelled. So he recalled the laws of the Most High to them. So this is not a second or a new law. This is the actual same law, but in the Greek it's called Deuteronomos. However, in Hebrew it's Devarim. Devarim is the words, all right? And when we say Asherah Devarim, they call them the 10 words, meaning the words of Yah or the words of the covenant, all right? So that's just a quick history as to why they call it the second law, is because, and it was already received once, and now he's giving it to them again, but it's not the second, it's the exact same thing. He's just recalling it back into them so they'll be fresh on their mind. So we're coming out of the book of Deuteronomy, commonly called, and in the Hebrew it's Devarim. So we're going to be reading in the book of Devarim of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, and we're going to be, I'm going to be starting with verse 1. Any of my Hebrew readers that's online that would like to get you some Hebrew practice in, by all means, go ahead and start raising your hands. That way I can give you the floor and you can assist me with the reading of this word. So as we said, it was customary for the Messiah to go into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, therefore to read. So we are doing the same thing now. This portion of the cultural study is for us to actually be able to go into the words that the Messiah then was reading from. I did a teaching in the past that one of the main books that the Messiah quoted from was the book of Devarim of Deuteronomy. A lot of the quotes that the Messiah quotes, even when he was quoting to the adversary when he was on the mount, his quotes, the majority of the Messiah's quotes come from the book of Devarim, commonly called Deuteronomy. And he also would quote from the book of Yeshayahu, commonly called Isaiah, but the majority of his quotes came directly from the law. All right, Kira, don't put your hand back down. I seen your hand up. You the one say you like changement, my sister. You ready to read? All right.
Kane.
All right. So you the one that told me to mix it up some. So let's start off. We're going with Devarim or Deuteronomy. Shlika, let me put the screen share up. And just for this portion, we won't be before you but so long doing this portion, but we just want to get back to custom. I chose the wrong thing. Shlika, give me one moment. Let me get the screen set up for you, my sister. Where is it at? Here we are. All right. Can you see the screen clearly?
Kane, Maury.
All right, we're gonna be doing verse 1.
Okay. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Okay. Devarim. Okay, verse 1. Was Zot ha-mitzvah Hamisava. Hachukim, Wahame Sepetim. Okay. Waha Mitsafatim. Asher. Se. Ooh. Sehua. Yahuwah. Elohim. Kem. Elohim. Lelamed. Etakim. Oh, okay. Etakem. La Setot. Seut. No, Suit. Leatsut. Baaret. That's in the land. Okay.
Yeah, hallelujah.
Asher. Atem. Uberim. Oberim. Shamar. Shema. Sorry. Shema. Larishita. Is that E? Yeah. Larishita.
All right, hallelujah. Good reading and good. And you also caught one of your the words. You recognize the words. So good reading. All right. Nathan. All right. You're welcome. All praise to the Most High. All right. Nathan, I believe your hand is the next one that's up. Let me scroll down. Your hand is the next one up. We're dropping down to verse 4, Nathan. If you're reading, your mic is still muted. You need to unmute your mic, Nathan. No, your mic is muted. Unmute your mic. Nathan, you have to unmute your mic. We can't hear you. Can y'all hear me still? Maybe that's the thing.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Although he did have one time had his mic unmuted, but he so he's gonna have to log out and log back in.
Okay. Nathan, you probably gonna have to log out and log back in. We can't hear you, or your mic is muted. Let me see if I can do it for you. Can I automatically unmute you? It's not giving me the option to unmute you. Nathan, unmute your mic. Okay, Shaquan, we're gonna. All right, talk, Nathan. Your mic is unmuted. Unmute it again. Now talk. Let's see if we can hear you. No, your mic is not working. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. So Shaquan, pick up for us in verse 4. Log out, log back in, Nathan.
Okay. Shema. Oh, here. Shema. Ya. I'm sorry. Yisha Ramel. Yisha Rael. Yisha Rael. Waha.
Look at that.
Okay. So Waha.
No, what's the letter? That's not a Y.
Oh, that's not a Y?
Nope. It's one of those lookalike letters, as they call it. It's a familiar letter. It looks like this letter. This is a Y.
Oh, yeah. That's the yod.
Mm-hmm.
Yaha. Wa,
We'll take that.
Yahweh. Okay.
We'll take that.
El, Elo, Elohei, Elohei, no, Elohei, no,
Not oh, but what?
Elohei, new, Elohei, new, Yah, Yah, this is the same word. I was getting tripped up. Sorry. Yahweh, Yahweh, Echad.
All right, hallelujah. All right, moving on. Nathan, I'll give you the floor next because you already had your hand up. Good reading, my sister. Good reading. Way not to get intimidated. Nathan, unmute your mic since you had your hand raised next. We're gonna try verse 5. Let's see if we can hear your sound. Unmute the mic again. You unmuted it, then you muted it right back.
Hello.
Right. Yes, we can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Habata, habata, 8, Yahweh,
Okay.
Eloheka, Bakal, Lababaka, Woo,
Not woo. And this one. So remember, this one is, it takes on the sound. It's not decided. This is a sharek, so you don't try to pronounce it as the vowel. Now you don't try to pronounce it as the consonant. You only can pronounce it as the vowel. So that wouldn't be woo, but it would be what?
Who,
Ooh. Okay, yeah. Ooh, okay. Finish up.
Ubakal, Nofeshka, Woo, no,
Woo.
Ubakal, my old Yeka.
All right, good reading, good reading, good reading. So Ms. Bakar, good reading thus far. So let's just go back just a little bit while we're in the culture portion. I just want to give everyone a chance to read. So right here in verse 1, we have wazot, and this is going to be a conjunction Y that's on front of the root word, which is zot, which is actually a feminine pronoun, wazot. So this Y is giving you the noun portion of what's now this, or now these. Wazot, ha, mitzvah is also, this is a definite article. The ha, here's a definite article. The root word is mitzvah. Mitzvah is going to be the word for commandments or commands, the commandment. And this also is in a feminine, all right? This is in a feminine singular. So we have wazot, ha, mitzvah, ha, kukim, hakukim. So this here is a definite article pointing to huk, to hok here, but we have kukim because we have a prefix and a suffix here. This yod mem suffix is a masculine. So now we have a definite article pointing directly to hakukim, which are going to be a masculine. The statutes, waha mishpatim, mishpat is the word for judgment. So we have waha, we have a conjunction wa, We also have the definite article that's added. So we have a double prefix here. And then we also have a suffix, the yod mem here, which is going to make this a masculine plural. All right. So what I want to go back to is while we're studying the language. So now I'm going back to the English. It said, now this is the commandment, the statutes and the ordinances, which Yah, your Elohim, commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. So as we're starting off in Devarim or Deuteronomy chapter 6, this wah generally, when the Torah is actually written, you know how we have it broken up into verses and you have the numerical number for the verses. When you're actually reading the Torah scroll, all the stuff is pretty much continuing on. So even though we now know we in Deuteronomy, it's really not an indentation from the prior book. You know, it just continues to run on the page, right? So these conjunctions a lot of times are connecting the thought that's already been previously stated. So whatever commandments have already been said in the book prior to and the books prior to, this is now a concluding statement that Moses is now letting them know pretty much all the words that you have heard, all these laws that I came down from the mount with and I've given you. Now this is the commandment of Yah. These are the statutes. So he's like, you know, everything that I've already told you, these are the words of the Most High. This is the commandment of the Most High, the statute and the ordinance which Yah, your Elohim, commanded to teach you, that you may do them in the land where you go over to possess it. All right. Continuing on in verse 2 in the English, and then we get back to the Hebrew portion in just a moment. That you might as fear Yah, your God, or your Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you and your son and your son's son all the days of your life, that thy days may be prolonged. So what he's letting them know is, entering into this land that the Most High is about to give you, you need to go into this land set apart. He brought you from a place. He's given me words to bring to you, which are laws, statutes, and commandments, a code of conduct, a covenantal agreement that we've agreed to with the Creator, so that when we go in to possess the land, this covenantal agreement is also associated with longevity in or on the land which the Most High has given to Israel. That's why it is of utmost importance for us to understand culturally the mindset, because these commandments were specific not only just to the people, but to the people and that got the promised land that flows with milk and honey, and the conduct that they were supposed to have in the land that was supposed to be a set apart land. So he first taught them set apart conduct, set apart mindset before actually bringing them into the land of promise. All right. So if a lot of us, we're talking about communities and things like that, before actually entering community, a lot of times we have to have a community mindset or a set apart or holy mindset. He said that you might fear Yah, to keep or to guard his statutes, his commandments, which I command you, you and your son's son, all the days of your life. So it's you, your son, your grandson, just all your generations. Y'all should remember this, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. So your days may be prolonged, meaning you may live with longevity, but not only live with longevity, you should also live upon or in the land for a long time if you obey these commandments. And all this is very key and important as we start to find out why Israel was expelled from the land, because they was already given specific instructions by the Most High of how to live holy or set apart in the land, and how it's supposed to be taught to the generation and generation and generations to prolong your life. So there's one commandment that says, Chabad abacha wa imacha, which is honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Most High giveth thee. And it says that's the first commandment with a promise. So to honor your father and mother is a commandment with a promise, but we also see here that going into the land. Speaker, I was letting somebody in the room and I ended up mute myself.
I think I did that to you, Moray. I'm sorry.
Okay. So again, we're seeing where these commandments give us long life, and these commandments also give us quietness, a peace in the land where the Most High has called us to. It says 3, hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yah, the God or the Elohim of your fathers, have promised unto you a land flowing with milk and honey. So it's let you know that if you observe, if you actually guard and protect, and first of all, you Shema. The word Shema in Hebrew means to hear, understand, perceive, and obey. It encompasses all of that. So when we hear, we're not hearing just for the sound. We're hearing so that we can interpret what is being said to form an understanding. So we must understand what we're hearing. So he's telling them to hear all these words. Make sure that you clearly understand what is written in this covenant, okay? So that you would know how to be blessed in the land, because hear, O Israel, and observe to do it. So as we read now in the New Testament, it says that faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim, or the word of God. So the word of Elohim is his instructions that was given to Moses and the words that he speaks through his prophets. But it says not the hearers of the word in the New Testament, not the hearers of the word are justified, but the who? The doers of the word are justified. To hear something and not do does not show that you have faith or trust in the Most High. But to hear something, to understand, and then accept, as we was reading last night, people showed their action. Faith is an action that's shown by what you've heard. And if you really agree or believe in something, then you're going to do what's required of you if you believe in it. So faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So if we believe this is the word of God, it says, not he that hears the word shall be justified, but the doers of the word shall be justified. So here we're seeing a parallel here. Hear therefore, O Israel, observe and do it, that it may be well with you. So it's letting you know that if you do these words, if you hear them and you do them, not just hear it and ignore it, but if you hear it and do it, it should be well with you, and that you may increase mightily or abundantly, as Yah, the Elohim, or the God of your fathers, have promised. But this promise was based upon conditions that people want to right away today when we're teaching from the modern Western mindset of we under grace, the law is done away with. All you got to do is believe, but not understanding that belief would show an action or a work, all right? So we see here that he's saying he promises us things based upon us being obedient children to what he's called us to do. And it says, as Yah, the Elohim of your fathers have promised unto you a land flowing with milk and honey. So the promised land, and we're saying a land is flowing with milk and honey, what this means is it's going to be a land, it's going to be fertile ground. It's a land that when you plant food, you're going to have crop. Because remember, part of what happened with Adam and Eve was when they got put out of the land, or they got put out of the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Eden was greenery. It was pleasurable. It had all the substance that they needed. But when they broke the commands of the Most High, put them out, they're going to have to labor extra hard. The ground was going to yield thorns and thistles, and it's going to be hard to grow food. So now what he's now doing is this is kind of like a return to a set apart place of the Most High. So land that flows with milk and honey is a ground whose fruits and things are better than all other places. It's fertile. The ground is good, so it flows with milk and honey. You will have food supply, all right? So now going back to 4. Speak out. I done screen. Let me. What's going on the screen? There it is. All right. So then coming back to the Hebrew reading. And by the way, all the Hebrew readers today, y'all did a great job. Great job. Continue to practice. So we have Shema, which is that word again here. Shema Yisrael Yahweh Eloheinu Yahweh Akkad. So where there's some that believe there's many gods, there's several gods, he is letting us know that there's only one Elohim, one God. And it says, hear, O Israel. So Israel, please hear and understand this. Yah, our Elohim, or our God, Yah is one. There is one true mighty one. There's one true power. There's one true God whose name is Yah. So Israel, by hearing this, the Most High is letting them know that to be his children, there's a certain loyalty that he's requiring of Israel. So this word is about loyalty also. So he wants them to understand, hear Israel. Yah, our Elohim, Yah is one. The only person that we should ever think of as our power, mighty one, the only God we should ever listen to is the Most High. And it says his sheep hears his voice, they will not hear another. In the Brit Kadashah, as Mashiach called himself the good shepherd, he said his sheep hears his voice. He was called the son of Elohim, meaning he came in with the word of Elohim. So we should be able to identify an anti-Messiah from the true Messiah, because an anti-Messiah will speak a doctrine contrary to the words of Elohim or the words of God, whereas the true Messiah would keep the customs of the culture that the Most High has given to his children, because as it's written in the book of Matthew, the Messiah came to save Israel from their sins, and sin is the transgression of these laws. So he came to deliver them back from this and to show them how to walk in that righteousness. But that's why, again, the cultural mindset of the heritage of our forefathers is very important for us to really understand this word, all right? So Israel is being called to loyalty. The Most High, he brought them from a place where there was many gods. In Egypt, a whole lot was worship, but the Most High let them know there's only one. So Moses or Masha is now letting them know, Moshe, whichever dialect, is now letting them know that there's only one that we should reference, and we should be loyal to him, okay? The other read that we read was going to be here. So we have Wa'ahabata et Yahweh Elohecha Bakal Lababeka Ubakal Nefeshka Ubikal Miodeka. So that, and another reason why we study the language, because we want to make sure that what's actually written in the text, the Hebraic text, which is what was written, which is what they followed, that when we read it in our English translations, is our English translations closely related, or is it translated well enough for us to understand the word of the Most High? And my thing is, there are many Bibles that I believe like are translated close enough that we should know how to serve the Most High. There are a lot of people in the Hebraic community, they knock the King James Version of the Bible. The King James Version of the Bible is how a lot of us started even knowing who God was and even seeking a God. There is not actually much wrong with the KJV, with the exception of the additions and subtractions. There's certain things that they added and certain things they subtracted, such as replacing the Most High's name with the Lord. That should have been done, because in the book of Deuteronomy, it tells you do not add to this word, nor take from this word. So however the word was written, that's the way it should have been relayed over for us to be able to adhere to the word or to learn the word as it was written. So yes, they took the name of the Most High out, and there's certain terms that may have been added that does not go fully with the Hebraic text, but is translated good enough for us to understand how to be righteous or unrighteous, all right? So I will say that I would not make a stance like many Hebrews do. They just bash the KJV version. However, it is not my preferred choice. My preferred choice is more of a Hebraic Bible, but I do a lot of my teaching from the KJV. Why? Because if we're gonna be all things to all people, everyone is not Hebraically sound in thought yet. And so they're gonna be coming with their Bibles, which are gonna be KJV. So with us learning the culture, we can then, out of the KJV, when something is inserted or erroneous, we can now highlight it and show it as we're being a witness unto others. All right. So now going back. So the Wa'ahabata Yahweh Elohecha, Bakal Babaka, Ubakal Nefeshka, Ubakal Mildecha, and you shall love Yah your Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might, with all thy being. So again, in the culture portion, the Shema was a very key prayer. It was actually Moses giving them their instructions, but in Hebraic communities, this started to be a form of prayer, and it's known. It's called, like a person say, "Do you know the Shema?" What they're asking you is, "Do you know Deuteronomy 6:4 and these verses that go along with this?" Because this is something for us to call to mind. This is a call to loyalty and a call into remembrance of who the Most High is and what He's done for us, and that all of our love is supposed to be totally given unto the Most High. So it says, and you shall love, after hearing that He's the only God, you shall love Yah your Elohim, or your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Meaning you cannot share your love between the Most High and Shaitan. You cannot share part of your heart with the Most High. Part of your heart is going to be with Baal. We've seen last night how the Most High hates that kind of stuff. And the commandment is, you should have no other gods before my face. Meaning, when it said before me, so in the KJV and the English, it said, you should have no other gods before me. What it is reading in the Hebrew, you should have no other gods before my face, meaning you shouldn't disrespect me by ever serving another God, by ever referencing another God, by ever calling another God's name or keeping their commandments. Why? The Most High is the one who brought Israel out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. When they was crying out, He told Moses, I hear their cry. So therefore, I'm going to deliver them. And when I deliver them, the least thing that they could do or know to do is give me total loyalty and denounce all of the falsehoods from where they just left from. All right. So did we go further than 5 yet? No, I think Nathan did 5, correct? We had another reader that was up that volunteered. So where's the other reader? Before going forward, we're gonna get just a little bit more of our reading in. All right, Shai Shamar, yours, verse 6.
Showing all praise to the Most High. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Waha yo ha nu oh hada barim ha a re Ashura. Oh Ashir Auka. 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 You can't see. Keen.
What's this letter right here?
That would be a new.
What sound does it make?
Yeah.
All right, so now let's start over again.
Oh. No. He.
Yes, sir.
Masta. Oh. Masta.
No, you're skipping a letter.
Oh. Masta. Stauka. Ha. Ayim. Okay. Ayum. Allah.
It's all one sound, one syllable.
La.
No, one syllable. No.
Allah.
Al.
Al. La. Ba. Bika.
Bika. What?
I'm a baker.
Baker. Okay. All right. Good job, Aki. We're not to let it defeat you. Continue practicing. So we have Wahayu Hadabarim Ha'elech Asher Anochi Mitzvah Hayom Ala Babicha. So in the English, as we're reading, it says, "And these words which I command thee this day shall be upon your heart." Shall be upon your heart. So what he's saying is, everything that I've done for you and I've brought you out, Moses is not giving these commandments that you should hear Israel, that Yah is the only one, that you should love Yah your Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might, have no other gods before him. Remember his commandments. And it says, "And these words which I command you," this thing's up here, I can't see the screen. All right, still in the way. Okay. "And these words which I command thee this day shall be upon your heart." So, Mishpachah, we have another scripture in the book of Jeremiah. That's a prophetic word that he said that he's going to do what with the commandments? What can someone tell me real quick in the book of Jeremiah, around chapter 31, probably verse 31, something like that? What does the Most High say that he's going to do? Okay, I see hands raised. Is a hands raised to answer that question, or was that for reading? So what does he say he's going to do?
I believe it says to put our word in our inward parts, to put our word in our heart, so we'll always have it with us.
He put the word is going to be on our hearts. It'll always be with us, right? So when we go back here, and these words I command thee this day shall be upon your heart. What is this telling you to do? Somebody help me out.
Start practicing now.
He wants
Put them
us
on
to
your own heart,
put them in
basically.
our heart. There we go.
Put them on your own heart. It's on us to put them in our heart. So really, what does that mean? So a lot of times we're reading the word when he said he's going to write the commandments on our hearts. That is not a literal, he's going to etch and sketch the commandments on our heart. Remember, we've did a lesson on the heart and the soul and the nefesh, and it comes back to your mindset, your thought process, where your information is stored, what you do, what you're going to do, where your emotions lie. So it said, and these words which I command thee this day shall be upon your heart, shall be on your heart, shall be on your mind. So it is not for us to always have to have the word or written word with us. We are supposed to study his word so regularly that we retain and we remember them, that we can recite and quote them because they're where? They're in our heart. They're upon our heart. They're in our mind. That's our thought process. So therefore, when we're about to make a mistake, a commandment should automatically jump to mind, because if you have the set apart word in your heart, then the Ruach HaKodesh, commonly called the Holy Spirit, can bring things to your remembrance to either tell you to calm down, be angry, and sin not. It can tell you stop looking at that woman because that's another man's wife and thou shalt not commit adultery. When you're upset, when your parents say something to you and you want to flare up and get outside yourself and actually want to do the opposite of what they tell you to do, then you recall to mind. But the Most High says, honor thy father and thy mother. That is the first commandment with a promise. And the promise is long life. So with these words are actually in our hearts, if we retain them to memory, if we actually love him like we're supposed to, these things will be in us and we would do them naturally. So then when you get to the Brit Kadashah, commonly called the New Testament, when it's talking about the fruits of the Spirit, it's telling you what the fruits of the Spirit are, and it tells you the walk in the Spirit. You walk in the Spirit once you have placed the Spirit on your heart and you remember what the Spirit of the Most High looks like and commands of you. Now you don't need to be reciting or quoting or someone having to teach you all the time these things. That should already be on your heart, because the Most High told you to remember him. He delivered you to love him with all your heart and make sure you write these things upon your heart. So when a lot of people are reading this word, we need to read it with the understanding of what is the Most High actually telling us. That's why he says, hear Israel, hear and understand this stuff. These words you need to retain to memory. These words, whether you have a Bible with you or not, you need to know how to serve me when you go into this land, because what didn't they have when Moses was talking to them? Somebody tell me real quick. Y'all know I don't ask a question that's not already asked.
The commandments.
Huh?
They didn't have a Bible. They didn't have the words written down yet.
They didn't have a Bible. They didn't have a Bible. So when they came to hear from Moses to the mount, whenever he was teaching these words, they have to put these things in their heart. Remember this. That's why they went to the synagogue. Moving forward into history, when there was a synagogue or the Mishkan that was built, they would go on the Sabbath day to hear the word of Elohim. And when you hear the word of Elohim, you take it to heart. You remember it. You can retain it. Why? Because everybody was not walking around with a laptop, computer, tablet, cell phone, or Bible, or Torah, or some scrolls. So they had to remember. They had to be within us. And that's what the Most High is calling us to do. We should not just come forth to listen to a lesson, not to hear it, to understand it, and to take it to heart or to take it to memory. That is the reason why I encourage note-taking, because one thing that I know for a surety, you never retain all of what was said the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth time it was said. Over time, even myself, we start to see, when we're reading these scriptures each year, we're starting to see more, and we didn't think we could see no more out of a simple thou shalt not. but the Most High is revealing more and more to us, the more and more we meditate on and we study his word. So when we come together, it is important to take some notes so that you can retain these things, but it's best to try to learn how to take mental note, to take it to heart, okay? So we're not gonna read any more Hebrew real quick for the sake of time. It's about time. Oh, yep, I'm already to my time mark. So let me, I'm gonna go the rest of the way in English. And it says, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thy house and upon thy gates. So in short for the day, so it is telling you, you should diligently teach these things unto your children. You should be talking about this. And one of the ways of teaching them, one of the things my Isha do, she has them write stuff to her. What does this mean? Go do this paper, write this out. Why? Because it's helping them have to go into the word, they have to write it down, and then they're gonna have to do a presentation. That is discussing the word with our children daily, and we must discuss it with them diligently. It does not always mean we have to have the word out, but we seen last night that a lot of the wicked kings of Israel, the reason why they was wicked, because the words of the forefathers, not because of some wicked books that was written, because of what they learned and what was in their heart. So what we should be doing is trying to instill into our children the love of Yah, why they should love Yah, the importance of loving Yah, and retaining his word in your heart. So even when they're with us or not, if you train up a child in the way they should go, a dedicated child in the way they should go, when they get older, will not depart from it. Why? Because it should be written on our hearts or written on their hearts. So with that, Mr. Bakar, that's going to be the quick cultural portion for the day. The importance of the Torah is very important to our culture, and not for bragging rights, but for the sake of renewal, for restoration, and for us to walk out our soul salvation and to walk pleasing in the sight of the Most High, and have the true understanding of what the Most High has called us to. So with that, I hope that it's been edifying to my Hebrew readers. Y'all did a great job. Continue to practice reading. We'll be back in Devarim, Deuteronomy again next week. So if y'all would continue to read the book of Deuteronomy in Hebrew, practice, because you don't know which verse you're going to get. So go forward and practice at least from one to about 7, where we stopped the other day, 1 to 6, where we stopped the other day, and try to read beyond, just to practice, to familiarize yourself with some of the Hebrew words and how to sound them out. And with that, I'm going to yield the floor to Zakane Yaquab. I pray and hope that that cultural study has been well edified. All praise, honor, esteem be to the Most High Yah, Hero Israel, Yahuwah, our Elohim, Yah is Echad. Zakane, the floor is yours.
Hello.